Hey everyone, welcome back to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. It's Oscar Day. It is Oscar Day, and I am joined by a friend of the podcast, Craig Price from Matinee Heroes. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing all right. It's daylight savings time too, so or whatever it is. So
Yeah, it's an hour ago,
I'm hoping
is what
all
it
of
is.
the nominees show up on time.
Right, I think they have people for that
Yeah.
who've been on daylight savings for 3 weeks to adjust. Like they're like space travelers where they have to adjust to lunar time instead of Earth time or whatever.
Well,
So
most of the people don't actually live in Hollywood, so they're coming in from another time zone anyway. So it's all screwed up.
right
Good,
there you go.
good.
Uh, let's we just wanted I wanted to get together with you and let's just talk some of the bigger picks, make
Okay,
some predictions, and maybe talk about what we would prefer to win as opposed to what we think is going to win on some of these.
absolutely. Because the Oscars is not about what's the best one,
No,
and nor should it be because there isn't. It's all subjective, anyways.
right. Best is a relative term.
Right, but there are certain people who should win over others depending on the category and what's in the zeitgeist at the time. And there's so many good stories about people, not
Yep.
necessarily about their movie but about them, that kind of weighed on my picks as well.
Some of yes, like I said, some of these I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win. All the pick is going to be who do you think is going to win, but then we can caveat that with who we think
Right.
who should win. So, all right, so let's start. We're gonna work our way up to, of course, best picture of the year. So let's start with something. Let's start with something small. Let's start with original screenplay. Uh, Banshee of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Fableman, Tar, Triangle of Sadness. Who do you think is going to win, Craig?
Well, I think for original is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once.
All right,
I read somewhere that it is now the most awarded movie of all time. And
across all of the different awards
yeah, it's got like
stuff.
158 accolades of some sort. Um,
That's insane when you think that there were movies like Titanic, which whatever you think won a lot of awards. Schindler's List won a lot of awards. That's crazy that a little baby film like Everything Everywhere All at Once can do something like that. I agree. I believe it is going to win,
does
and
that
I
mean
believe.
I was gonna say, does
I,
that
I,
mean that implies that you don't think it should win?
no, I believe it's going to win. I think the only film in that list that I think that I could make an argument against beating it would be Banshees,
Okay.
because I just think that script is just so tight and so well put together, that there's not really any holes in it, and it's just a phenomenal piece of work. But then if Everything Everywhere is not this year, I think that wins in this group. But I just think once you put it up against Everything Everywhere, what they had to script out for that film, it's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, and I'm
So I don't think Banshees should win against it, but I think that's the only one that even has an argument.
oh yeah, and I'm not a big fan of the Banshees of Inisherin only because of it just wasn't a happy, good lucky movie. Nor
No,
should it be, but it was one of those. I was like, I watched it. I understand the quality of it. I can see it's well acted, it's well crafted, it's well made. Unlike a lot of Martin Murrah stuff, is I loved In Bruges. This was not it.
yeah,
So
no, and it's not
not
it.
even close. So it was a little off-putting, but you're right. With so many different things going on, everything everywhere all at once, to actually land and get to the finish line, which a lot of movies can't do when they're
Right.
far more simplistic than this one.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
You have to give it to it.
yeah. Well, let's go the other one. Let's go with adapted screenplay, which
Ooh.
is All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. Where
So
do you what
I'm
do you think is going to win?
I'm using the Oscar 95 Pick'em, which is it's the 95th year anniversary, but it's on like ESPN. It's the fantasy thing,
Right.
and 37%, which is the number one, is leaning on Top Gun Maverick, which I don't understand. That it's Top Gun Maverick is Top Gun with a little Star Wars thrown in. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think it's
A
I
little
don't think
Star Wars. Anyway.
a little bit of. I was being
Yeah.
polite.
I know.
Um, Having seen All Quiet on the Western Front, not a lot of adaptation going on. In fact, they actually created a whole plot line out of whole cloth. Um, I mean, I haven't seen Women Talking. I heard it's fantastic, and I'm going to go with Glass Onion though, because I just thought it was fantastic. But I also know that that is sometimes things that are too popular don't get picked.
Right. Okay. So fair enough. I think Women Talking is going to win.
Yep.
I actually don't have a problem with that because that script, I mean, literally, it's women talking. And if your film is dialogue heavy or dialogue dependent,
Mm-hmm.
and your script sucks, then you've lost your film. This script does not suck. I mean, and it is a dialogue movie. I when the Utah Film Critics got together, I reminded people before we voted in this category that Glass Onion is technically adapted screenplay because it's an adaptation of the characters
Yep.
from Knives Out. It did not wind up winning. I didn't realize that for a long time. I didn't realize that Living was a remake.
Oh.
I believe of a Japanese film, which by the way, it's an incredible film. And Bill Nye, who we're going to talk about later, Bill Nye. I mean that I cried in that movie.
Oh no!
I'm
It made
not
you
ashamed to
cry.
admit it. That movie made me cry. I watched it the night before we voted at the Utah Film Critics, and I thanked whoever sarcastically thanked whoever reminded people to watch that film for making me cry the night before. So I think Women Talking is for me is the clear winner.
Okay.
And the only one that really does have an argument maybe is Glass Onion, just because it's an adaptation
Of
but
it's a remake.
expansion.
Yeah, because that's the
Yeah.
same reason
So
why Top Gun's there. Top Gun Maverick
yeah,
is there because it's an adaptation of the original Top Gun.
and I love Maverick. I love Top Gun Maverick. So I don't want anyone to think. I mean,
Yeah.
I just released a video about Maverick earlier today. But yeah, so I think Women Talking is the choice that's going to win, and I have zero issues with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I think Women Talking is going to win. I'm going with Glass Onion because I prefer it.
yep.
But that's just me.
Yep. All right. Best visual effects. I'll run down the nominees. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Black Panther, and Top Gun. All okay. 4 of those are kind of effects heavy, and All Quiet on the Western Front is a war movie.
Yeah, but it's effects heavy. There's a lot of effects in it.
It kind of is. Is there any question that Avatar is going to win this category?
No, because that's all it is one long 3-hour visual effect.
Right. And I would like to technically point out that Avatar: The Way of Water could also be considered. It is an effects heavy film because they did all the mocap and perf
Right.
cap.
Yep.
And they animated over it, but it could also arguably simply be an animated film.
Well, there's too much live action in it.
Exactly. Well,
So there is. I mean, there's actual human beings in it. So anytime you see a human being, that's
a human being.
That's a human being.
But the argument could be made that this is Marcel the Shell is an animated film.
Yep.
For Academy purposes. Therefore, Avatar is more of an animated film than Marcel the Shell. If you look at it, there's no way to argue against that. So anyway, but there's no question that Avatar is going to win, because dang, doesn't it look pretty?
And then, of course, historically, the big blockbusters that rely heavy on CGI do win this category. I mean, some visual effects may be stunning, and then we'll get to makeup in a second. But Colin Farrell,
in Batman,
he is a visual effect. I mean, that's not anything like him. But I also understand that there's not nearly as many visual effects as there are in Avatar, which is amazing, and it still looks fantastic. I mean, I've seen some awful full-on everything CGI in the picture, and Avatar looks and feels real, at least.
Yeah, it's incredible. So there's visual effects. Let's go to sound, which is one of those really hard categories people often have trouble with.
I have no
All
idea.
Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick.
Well, I know that overwhelmingly on over ESPN, known for those movies, 77% of the people picked Top Gun Maverick. And
So there's a lot of sound there. There's flight sounds. There's people audio. There's aircraft noise.
I always take the people audio out of it. I mean, if you can't get your actors to hear what their voices are, you've failed as a movie maker. Now
that would be most of the arguments against Christopher Nolan is that you can't hear his dialogue.
Well, That's that's a huge. That's why he should never be nominated for any sound things.
So anyway, so okay, so where do you fall then? Are you a Top Gun Maverick
I
guy, or are
am
you a
because it you have a lot of sound heavy with you have the dialogue, but then you have a lot of sound heavy jet engines and roars and things, and mixing it all together to make it sound real. And I feel that's the key is it does it feel realistic. Um, I think
and even if
that's
it's not, it's all understandable to the audience. I think that's the end goal. All of these different noises need to reach the audience in a way that they can understand them.
yeah, I can
So it
understand
might
what's
not be
going on.
realistic to a pilot,
No,
but to an audience member, it feels right.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
So
that's
I
the
think the
difference.
balance works out great. You can actually they created an environment that I believe in, and I can hear everything that's going on. And the sound effects are amazing, even though we're not in the sound effects category. Just the
Yeah.
sound, it sounds like I'm at the in the environment, and that's the important
Yep.
part.
I agree. I think Top Gun will probably win that. My only argument, I, the only film in that list that might have an argument is Elvis,
Well, sure, yep, you
just
got
because of the music and the mixing and the different arenas and all of that stuff. That's probably the only. But I agree. I think Top Gun is going to win that one. Um, let's let's stay on sound for a second and then we'll switch. Let's go to original song,
Oh, okay.
which is really hard because a lot of people don't. I mean, I don't necessarily keep track of original songs in films. So we have Applause from Tell It Like a Woman, which I did not see. Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, Lady Gaga. Lift Me Up from Black Panther. Natu Natu from RRR, Triple R. And This Is a Life from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What have you listened to? What haven't you heard? And where are you at?
I'm pretty much where you are. I have not heard applause.
Right.
Everything else I have heard. So there's two things that I'm thinking of. Either I know that Natu has been getting momentum. Um,
Yes.
I mean, I saw a third of RRR, and that was a good hour and a half. To which I was told, "Oh, you just missed the exciting part." I'm like, "What?" I mean, after an hour and a half, I didn't get up to the, we have a zoo segment, whatever that's called, because I missed it. Because I an hour and a half in, I got a little bored, and I'm like, I can't keep watching this. It's still got another 2.5 hours to go.
Yeah, it's a great film. It
It
is.
starts getting great after the first hour and a half. So that's why you lost me. If you can't get your film exciting to me enough in the first hour, then
Right.
I'm not going to stick around for the
That's
second hour.
that's fair. That's fair.
But I
So
also feel like voters are human beings, and oftentimes, especially since most people don't know what makes an original score and what's an the original song, I think Rihanna is going to win.
yeah, there's the pop aspect, the popular aspect,
Oh,
pop
sure.
culture aspect of it. It's got to be known. It's got to be something. Traditionally, it's got to be something that most people can go, yes, I've heard that, and that's an incredible song. Very few people argue about the results of this category. Not sometimes it does. Sometimes it happens. It wouldn't surprise me. As much as people want Lady Gaga to win for Hold My Hand,
Sure,
no,
I did.
that's it's actually a very bland song. They're trying to be Take My Breath Away, and it's not.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly think the momentum is going to carry Natu Natu. That's my guess is that's just gonna roll through because it's so pervasive throughout the film. It literally is. I mean, that's what everyone's like. You're watching the film and yeah, it's got all this great action and stuff, but then there's that song and it's just that song and it's just that song and you're just like, damn it,
Yeah, and Lift
in
Me
a
Up
good way,
and Lift Me Up is tacked on at the end for the credits, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I agree with that. I also just feel like Academy of voters aren't that nuanced sometimes, and I think
all right.
in this category, it really is who's the biggest name and has this big name won, and if they haven't, they're going to get it. So
Yeah.
I
So
think
it'll be interesting to see which way. So you're picking Rihanna and I'm going Natu. So
yeah, it's
there you
not
go.
about who should win; it's about who I think will win, and that's
Who do you think should win?
from what I understand, Natu should win. I mean, it does what an original song is supposed to do, and it enhances the movie. It's throughout the movie and it's part of the movie where Lift Me Up is, hey, we need a great end credit scene
Right.
music, and hey, let's get Rihanna. She's popular. She did the Super
Right.
Bowl.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So all right. So let's go back now to production design, which is the look of the film. All Quiet on the Western Front, World War I epic, Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and Spielberg's The Fablemans. This is the first time we've said that word tonight. Um, I cannot reward Avatar for production designing a computer generated environment.
That's still it's still a production design. It's not
I don't
production
care.
execution, it's production design.
I don't care. So I
Okay.
can't do it. So no, but my pick and who I think is going to win and who I think should win is Elvis, because
Oh,
I
really?
think it captures the entire span from beginning to end, and you feel every era of Elvis from front to back in that film, and it's just there.
Well,
And there's not really any whole, yeah, Baz Luhrmann's some parts of the film, but I think that design is just so great across 4 decades or 3 decades of Elvis that it's just ridiculous.
oh, I'm not going to
So
disagree with that. I do think Avatar is going to win, but I think All Quiet on the Western Front should win. After watching
ooh
that movie and seeing how meticulous everything was laid out, how it looked, not only from a war ground look, but to the way the people have been, the dead corpses and the some are
mhm.
covered in frost and frozen, and it was so realistic that it was just mind boggling how awesome it looked. It's a very depressing movie, and it should be. It's an anti-war film, but
Yes,
it is aesthetically, you can tell that they put every penny into their sets and into their costumes and into the whole design of the production. So I think All Quiet should win, but Avatar is the one that I think is going to come taking it.
wow, there you go. All right, so here you go. Let's go to original score, which is the music. This is the John Williams
Yeah,
category.
and that's who I picked. That's who I think should win. But I don't think that's who's going to win. But I can't not pick against John Williams. He's 92. I'd love to see him walk up there and get the. So I
John Williams for The Fablemans.
Yep.
Again, Spielberg, second time we've said that. Everything Everywhere, Banshees, Babylon, and All Quiet on the Western Front. So you're picking The Fablemans, and you think the Fablemans should win.
No, I'm picking the Fablemans because I think John Williams should win because I want him
Okay,
to, but I have no idea on this category because I've seen all the movies except Babylon, and the score is the least memorable of all of these movies.
right.
Um, all Quiet on the Western Front, I couldn't even tell. It sounded like three notes. It was very much a Christopher Nolan
Yeah,
or so that's it for music. Banshees of Inisherin, very light, Irishy, but forgettable. I can't even remember what the music was in Everything All at Once. I mean, the original
yeah,
music, I just felt like it was a lot of action dance music. You know what I mean?
right.
So I
A
don't
lot of
know. I don't know Babylon. I wanted to give it to Fablemans because I just love John Williams, and I would love to see him win one before we no longer have him.
I'm taking the Irish score
Okay.
for Banshees of Inisherin, and again, this is one where it's tough to say that yeah. So you want the Fablemans to win. I want Banshees to win. I honestly don't know who is going to win. I know it shouldn't be Babylon because that movie shouldn't be rewarded for anything.
Oh, I have not seen
That movie should not be rewarded for nothing.
Okay.
That's my opinion. So we'll have to see how that category works out. Here's yours now. Makeup and hairstyling.
Makeup.
Uh, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. Brendan Fraser in a fat suit.
Yep.
Sorry,
It's
bodysuit.
and there's some CGI in that as well.
There's
So,
some CGI in it. Well, you got it. Well, there's CGI everywhere. Where are you at? Who
um,
do you think is gonna win?
uh, because of the sheer volume and difference, I'm gonna go with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. There's so many costumes in that are unique to American viewers. I mean, it's very Afrocentric. It's wonderfully done. I mean, All Quiet on the Western Front, yeah, makeup and hair. They had references to go on. It's really just recreation.
Right.
Elvis, I thought they did a good job with makeup and hair, but again, I think they're not making things out of whole cloth. They're finding things that pre-existed. Where Wakanda is a fake place, and I believe that everything they made was from Wakanda. So I mean, and that's why I'm
That's
going with that.
That's fair because okay, so the next category we'll do is costume design, which we'll get to. So I'm going to assume you'll also pick Black Panther for that one. For me, I went Elvis just because you do have to recreate
Yeah,
the fabrics and the clothes and the makeup and
that's a
Elvis's
different.
makeup across of it. The makeup, as much as I hate Tom Hanks in that film,
I don't. I
you
think he's fine. I don't hate him.
God, I
I
think
think he's
he
fine.
gave me two of my least favorite performances last year.
Well, he won a Razzie, so you feel better.
Yeah, a little bit. Was it for Pinocchio? Because that was
No, he
glorious.
won it for.
For Elvis, good, because he could have won it for either one. I hope he was up against himself in that category for Pinocchio, because his Geppetto was terrible.
It's his first
But
one
no,
ever, so
but I went with Elvis. I will not be surprised if it is. I don't think they're gonna do the whale. I just think there's too much controversy. I
well, the
don't think
whale's not
people are
in
gonna do
costume
it.
design, so
Well, and makeup and hairstyling, I mean.
yeah.
So Elvis for makeup and hairstyling, I think is pretty safe. If it's not, it's probably going to be Black Panther. Um, Costume design, I I can see Black Panther winning that, and I wouldn't be shocked. But otherwise, I'd go everything everywhere all at once, because you've got um, I just
You love
everyone has a look. Every
space
different
suits.
every different someone has a look. I just think, because they created countless worlds
Mhm.
in this. Like one could make the argument that Multiverse of Madness costume design would have been arguable, because there were a lot of variations on normal,
Yeah, yeah.
quote
Oh, I
unquote.
agree. I these
So
those
an
movies
argument
a lot
could have
of
been made that they could have been put in this category. So but that's where I'm at Elvis on makeup and hairstyling. I'm at everything everywhere. Sorry, yeah, I have Black Panther winning, but I think everything everywhere all at once could win. I wouldn't be surprised on that. That takes us to international feature film.
oh, that's easy.
Uh, so you're going to be an All Quiet on the Western Front guy.
It's nominated for Best Picture for a reason. It's
Well,
and I
but
think that I know these other ones may or may not be eligible, but I think that that one was an amazing movie just to watch. It's one of those I watch it once. It's just
mhm,
I don't need to see it again because it's pretty gnarly. But
yeah,
I mean, it was an amazing film, and having not seen any of these other movies, usually what happens is the movie that gets seen the most wins the most, and I think that
right.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
By the
So
clock.
so All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, which by the way is great. I would recommend tracking it down and watching it. Close, which I did not get. I think I got to see that one. EO, which I did not get to see, which is the Polish donkey movie,
I've been hearing good things
which
about it though.
which sounds dirty, but it's not.
Well, you could
Um,
say that Ira Sheeran is the Irish donkey movie.
that is also true. And The Quiet Girl. Now, I think All Quiet on the Western Front's going to win. I would love if The Quiet Girl won, because it's another Irish movie. Um, but it is so. I made the mistake of watching The Quiet Girl as a double feature with After Sun, which
Okay.
as a parent is that was not a good double feature selection. That was depressingly depressing for 4 hours. I mean, but The Quiet Girl is just phenomenal. The little girl is great. The parents
I don't
are
know what you're
assholes.
expecting with back-to-back Irish. There was not going to be a happy ending.
It wasn't, but I mean, After Sun is good, but yeah, terribly depressing.
Yeah.
But The Quiet Girl, I watched that and I was just like, man, that movie's that's just one that I think everyone needs to see regardless. I think that's just a phenomenal film. So if you haven't seen The Quiet Girl, go track it down and watch it. But yeah, I think All Quiet's probably going to win. I do not think. Well, I'm going to save that for later. I was about to make a thing. Let's talk about film editing, because this actually there's a couple different possibilities. Editing, normally people are like, editing. Banshees, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. Honestly, there's two that head and shoulders above in this discussion. Obviously, Everything Everywhere All at Once is all edited together. And
It's
in
all
Top
that.
Gun Maverick, when they're putting all of these disparate pieces together,
Yep. Those.
everything else is fairly conventionally shot and edited. So I think in terms of achievement, those are the two. That's my opinion. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to win.
I agree.
And I think it should.
I would not be surprised if Maverick did win.
I
But
I
I think,
wouldn't be surprised either.
but I want
But I'd be marginally. I'd be 49% surprised, 51% surprised.
there. Well, 55% of the people at ESPN picked Top Gun.
I'm
But
shocked that
that's
the
because
ESPN audience is high on Top Gun.
well, also they don't go to movies. I'm sure unless
Right.
it's got Kevin Costner in a baseball. Uh,
Right.
but
That's true.
I think that one is the everyday person. at least they understand that Top Gun was well edited, and so
Yeah,
that is good. But Everything Everywhere All at Once is amazing, and in fact, their visual effects team should win because there's only two of them, and they've never done it before. Uh,
I know the amount of crazy that you can go into for everything everywhere all at once when you actually look at it is it's a mind bending as the movie itself,
well, that's what I was saying. There's a lot of backstories that actually deserve the Oscar more than the actual final output.
or at least an Oscar shout out.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, the
So
visual effects in that were great. I mean,
yeah,
but when you find out that that's the first time they've ever done them, and there's only like three people doing them versus
yeah,
Avatar, which had an entire country working overtime.
yeah, really, it's crazy. Uh, Cinematography then, All Quiet, Bardo, which is a weird film but one I recommend watching. Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. There's two of these maybe that I mean, but I think All Quiet on the Western Front's going to win.
Yeah, I have not seen Bardo, um, and I did not see
Get it?
Empire of Light, but I know the movie itself was, but apparently it looks beautiful, and it is
Well,
Roger Deakins. What do you expect?
yeah, exactly. I
But
mean, yes, it's shot wonderfully, but it's not a great movie.
no, I think All Quiet on the Western Front because all it is from a it's a movie you don't want to see because it's all violence and gore and horrible decisions because it's
Yep.
war, but it's beautifully shot. It's everything, and not beautifully in like, oh, I'm going to take a picture and hang it in my house. It's like,
No.
no, it's telling a story and it's magnificently done.
Yes, it really is. Elvis could make an argument
Yeah,
as well, just because of. I mean, it's Lerman, so it's that's like saying Nolan.
yep.
Oh, well, if Lerman's got a film, you have to look at it for cinematography. But I think All Quiet on the Western Front, just for the scale of it, it's scaled even bigger than Elvis, if that's possible. So,
Yes,
um,
it is for something that's only supposed to last a year or two.
right, documentary film, feature film. A couple I have: All It Breathes, bird movie, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. Now I've seen two of these:
Which two?
Fire of Love
I have seen that
and
one.
Navalny.
Okay.
Um, of those two, as much as I love Fire of Love, that is a great contemporaneously shot documentary because it's just all their footage from the time. I think Navalny is going to win
Oh, okay.
because right now, in the environment we're in, I think Navalny wins.
And see, I'm going
That's
with the what people have seen, and I know Fire of Love is on Apple TV. Is that right? I think so.
it's on. It might be
I've
on
seen
Apple
it because
TV as well.
so it has to
Yeah,
be on one of the streamings.
right.
So if
Well, so is Navalny. So
well, I mean, but I think one was promoted a little more than others, and I think Fire
yeah,
of Love, like you said, it is all beautiful footage that
it
they
is.
shot. So I'm leaning towards, as far as who will win, towards Fire of
Right.
Love. Who should win? I have no idea because documentary features are not my thing unless I'm on Netflix on a board day.
Right.
I got too much.
And
I
so
got too
yeah,
much other things going on. I don't get to see nearly enough actual films than to go see documentaries as well.
true. I would not be disappointed at all if Fire of Love won. I do. I think that's just amazing that they put it together from all that footage. I like documentaries like that are retroactively put together from all of this material, and it's not, oh, let's look back. I hate retrospective documentaries, I guess. You know
Especially
what I
when they don't have
mean?
a lot of stuff. Like if it's
Yeah,
something that's really obscure, it happened before video and film,
yeah.
like recreating pictures or their.
And that's one thing, but if it's contemporary, if it's fairly modern, then yeah, there should be some stuff. But like I said, I think Navalny is going to
Okay.
win. That's just like that's my stupid it's now guess.
Well, if my Facebook feed is anything to tell you, um, I get a lot of advertisements for Navalny.
Because now,
Because of
uh,
yeah, it's for your consideration. See, I live
yeah,
in the Los Angeles area, so I have for your consideration advertisements on not only on the radio but on the television and in
right,
my feed because it goes by my IP address. So
yeah,
I see a lot more for your consideration stuff than probably the average American, not
right,
necessarily the average person living in California. So I see a
right,
lot of these things. And Navalny is the one that I see the most advertising for, but Fire of Love is the one that I've actually seen and I saw a lot of advertising for when it came out in
right,
other places. So
yeah.
it wasn't just Oscar.
Well, I just think the Russia aspect is gonna. I think it's going to be a statement win.
Okay.
That's where my brain is at.
And
So,
I'm fine with that.
but hey, look, if you enjoy what you're seeing and hearing on the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast, why not take a second to click subscribe if you're on YouTube, click follow wherever you're listening to us. Follow us on Twitter at VS Movie Podcast. Same over on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it's Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. That would be awesome for us. We appreciate you listening. And now let's get back to the show. So let's go. Now we're getting to the big ones. Big ones. Let's go with animated feature film.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, not Disney's. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I did not see The Sea Beast. With that caveat, there's 3 movies that I could pick from.
I got
Pinocchio, Marcel, and Puss in Boots, which amazingly enough, I said it when I watched it. I was dreading having to watch that movie. I was like, oh my God, do I have to watch a Puss in Boots sequel? And I got done and I was like, holy crap.
I have not seen it. I know it just got on Peacock, so I'm going to take a look at it.
It mind-bogglingly not shitty.
Is it like Paddington 2 where you're just shocked that it's...
Okay, fun fact, I have not seen Paddington 2.
I haven't either.
Apparently you cry. You just automatically cry if you watch Paddington 2. And it's on my list. I need to watch it.
And people were saying that before they put it in the Nick Cage Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I mean, I've been hearing about that since it came out. So I
think that's why it's in Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Or Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. But no, it is surprisingly deep and nuanced and well acted. It is a quality animated film. It is not going to beat Marcel the Shell or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
No, and it's not going to beat Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
But it's going up against Marcel the Shell and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Well, and one,
so it's good, but the problem is it's got to get past those two.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think Marcel the Shell would win in any other year.
Except that Guillermo del Toro decided to make a stop motion Pinocchio,
and he made an amazing
stop motion Pinocchio.
I mean, it's dark. It's got fascists in it, so it's got all kinds of things.
Right? No, it's phenomenal. I think that's going to win. Mm-hmm. I will not be shocked if Marcel the Shell.
No, I wouldn't either.
Wins. Because the Academy originally said Marcel is not an animated film. And then had to U-turn when people went, what?
Yep.
So it is, in fact, an animated film. In another year, I don't know how I said, if you don't like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, you don't have a soul. You're just a soulless, joyless asshat.
Haven't seen it.
No, it's so good. But no, Pinocchio, I think Pinocchio is the clear favorite. Mm-hmm. I'll have zero problems with that winning at all. But maybe in my heart of hearts, I'll squeal a little bit if Marcel the Shell actually wins.
You won't be the only one.
Right? Yeah, right. I want to watch Jenny Slate go up on stage with that creative team,
and of course that would just keep the Everything Everywhere All at Once crew going. So
I know, right? Okay, so here we go. The big 6. Actress in a supporting role: Angela Bassett from Black Panther, Hong Chow in The Whale, Carrie Condon in Banshees, Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere, Stephanie Sue in Everything Everywhere. Possible vote split in Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, and here's my confusion on that. I love Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Sure.
But I think Stephanie Sue did a much better job and had a much more difficult part and was able to land that easily. I don't know how she did it. So the Jamie Lee Curtis love, I understand because I love Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
Of the two of them, I don't see why she's getting all the acclaim when Stephanie does a objectively better job at her role.
I hate when stuff like this happens. Angela Bassett is the clear favorite. Everyone seems to want her to win. I think she is going to win. I agree.
I thought Carrie Condon was the best thing of the Banshees of Inisherin.
See, I don't think she was the best thing,
Oh,
but I think she was a huge thing, and I think she was great. Um, I feel bad for every nominee in this category because if they don't win, they're all. It's like, man, that's. I mean, this is a pretty stacked category.
yeah,
And some years you're like, oh, you can just knock this one out.
right.
It's like, you hate to say filler because that's not really a fair statement, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, because you got
Um,
people like the reason why Jamie Lee Curtis and Angela Bassett are the heavy favorites are because they've never won.
yeah,
And
body of work.
absolutely body work, especially Jamie Lee Curtis, who's a nepo baby, you know.
Yeah, I know, right?
But Angela Bassett, who got screwed out of her Tina Turner award, it's one of these things where the supporting role is a not necessarily a career achievement, but it is a body of work. And Angela Bassett owned Wakanda Forever.
For as long as she was in it, you betcha.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's
Yeah.
and it's so yeah, I think she's going to win it.
Mhm.
I I almost want to say weirdly, Hong Chow might actually have less screen time in The Whale than Judi Dench did in Shakespeare in Love when she won Best Supporting Actress.
7 minutes.
Yeah, but I would be okay if that happened. So this is a category where it's like I can't pick who I would prefer to win because I think all of them are just phenomenal.
This is a strong category, and I think historically it always has been. I think
yeah,
actors in a supporting role always have some quality in it. It's really hard to, like in the men's category. Some years there's like people you're like, what? I mean, like when Robin Williams won, it had Burt Reynolds and a bunch of other guys, and like, you know, Robin Williams is going to win this one. It's a slam dunk because his character's so far and above. Because unfortunately, actors who of that caliber would be in a leading role.
Exactly, and I think that's an argument for another time about why the Best Supporting Actress category is always so stacked. But yeah, so I think Angela Bassett wins. I think I'm okay with that. But I think I would be okay with pretty much anyone else if they won it.
Oh yeah, no,
So,
I mean
in this category,
like I said, I would feel a little slighted if Hong Chow won it because she was barely in it, like you say, because everybody else was really working overtime.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
right.
And it is a subjective, and my subjective is how I know you're a supporting actress, but how much are you in the movie compared to like that Judi Dench 7 minutes thing was definitely a Harvey Weinstein. I'm going to pay as many people as I can to get her to win this stupid thing.
Right. So okay, so we're going with Angela Bassett then.
Yes.
Okay, so actor in a supporting role. Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, Apple Plus, I believe.
Yep.
Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans. We haven't said that a lot. Barry Keoghan in Banshees, another vote split, and Kiwi Kwan, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Obviously the favorite.
Not only the favorite, I think of all of them here, he's the one that not only did the most, but did so many different things the most, and almost everything he did was amazing. I was shocked that I found out it was Short Round after the fact because I didn't recognize him when I first saw it, and now all I do is see a Short Round. But he is I'm like, who is this? I had to look him up because he was so good in it.
And then you went, what?
Because here's the thing that I have is that Judd Hirsch, again, phenomenal, 3 minutes. he obviously is the crux of he's the pivot in the movie where all of a sudden, as soon as his character comes in, delivers this great monologue and leaves, little Sammy is got a different perspective on life, but too short. Haven't seen Brian Tyree. Gleason and Keoghan, I like Barry Keoghan in it, but not nearly as much as everybody else did apparently, because I don't see why he's
I actually hated Barry Keoghan in Banshees. I thought Brendan Gleeson put on a freaking masterclass. Of course
he did. Yes, he did.
He did more saying zero than most actors say all day.
And I think this was a political move of him in supporting where he and Colin were co-leads, but they wanted to make sure
they both got a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I get it, but it sucks. But then it winds up sucking because I think now Brendan Gleeson is going to lose.
Yeah, he is.
If he wins, I would squeal a little louder than I would if Marcel won. For
it would be the biggest upset in history.
Right. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Everything Everywhere at all. I think that movie is ridiculous.
And I mean, again, this is one of those votes where it's really the backstory of what's going on, not being allowed back in Hollywood. It wasn't a matter of he. Everyone says, "Oh, he retired." No, no, he was forced out, or he was not forced out. He was ignored for 30
Yeah,
years, and he still wanted the acting, and he came back, and he's
yeah.
amazing. He's right now. He is my emotional support animal. As I hit 50 this year, knowing that I mean, he didn't do anything until he was 52, because, except Short Round and Goonies, and then he did a little
Right,
Encino Man, and then flooded away because no one would hire him.
right.
And to come
And
back and do this, it's
Hollywood, yeah, it's insane how many people now are kicking themselves.
if you wrote a movie about this, no one
No
would
one would
believe
believe.
it.
Yeah, no one would believe it. Absolutely. So yeah, so he's gonna win.
I hope so.
Actress in a leading role: Kate Blanchett for Tar, Anna de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough to Leslie, some controversy there,
Yeah.
Michelle Williams in The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Can we agree that Michelle Yeoh is going to win?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can both agree that she deserves to win.
Yes, I feel like
Um,
with Michelle Yeoh, I feel like she's one of those indie bands that I like, and then all of a sudden everybody starts to like them
Hootie.
because
Yeah, when Hootie hit big.
it's like I've known she's been awesome for 30, 40 years.
Yep.
And now everybody seems to have found out how awesome she is this year. And it's like, what are you crazy? She's been awesome all along.
All along.
And
All along.
and yeah, she
And
definitely deserves it.
none of those other four really comes close. Kate Blanchett is always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always wonderful. I think Anna de Armas' commitment to Blonde was admirable. I think the film wasn't
Right.
quite up to snuff. The Andrea Riseborough, I love Andrea Riseborough, but I believe that nomination has been pointed out to be a bit weird.
I have no problem with what happened because basically all she did was the same thing everyone else does, except she didn't pay anybody. She got her buddies, who are big names, to talk good about her,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah,
And
and then
that's a good. Oh, they're all upset because they didn't have a big, huge PR push, and she came out of nowhere. Well, she didn't come out of nowhere. She had a strategic marketing plan
there you
where it
go.
was word of mouth.
Yeah,
It was
but
a little bit more obvious and overt than a true organic
right,
nomination. But if they're going to pay money to do it, I have no problems with someone who is going to
does it
leverage
for
their
free.
friends to do it. It's the same
Right.
thing. You're just paying for free. She's paying with beer and
Yep.
pizza to get her couch moved.
Yeah, and Michelle Williams in The Fableman,
She was all right.
it's all right.
She did a
Yeah.
good
So
job, but she was, for me, a little bit over the top, a little too
and
many.
that movie just didn't land for me at all.
Yeah,
So there you go. So Michelle Yeoh probably in a walk.
hopefully no one.
So yeah, in a walk. Okay, actor in a leading role. This is an interesting category in that we have Austin Butler and Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun, which I don't know how many people saw,
Yeah,
and Bill Nye in Living.
which I don't know how many people saw, but we know Bill Nye is amazing.
He made me cry, dude. I'm telling you, if you have not seen Living, that movie is just. You're turning 50, my friend. I'm 52. So
I think this is based on Kurosawa's Ikaru,
yeah, it is.
because Alan's
This
a
is
big
the
fan.
adapted screenplay, but it is just so and he works for the government in London.
Mhm.
So having been a government employee for a while, obviously a lot of that bureaucracy is totally identifiable, but that's completely secondary to his inner journey. Oh my God, it's just so good. When Elvis came out and I saw it earlier this year, I walked out and my first comment was, I think Austin Butler just walked into an Oscar. As you know, the year went on, Colin Farrell gave like 800 great performances this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Brendan Fraser in The Whale validated his career. No matter what you thought of him before, you had to look at him and go, well, damn, Brendan Fraser. After Sun, again, I'm not familiar with the rest of Mescal. And I don't know. I
The
didn't like,
rest of Mescal's work, he's 20 something years old. There's not a
I
lot of
know,
work.
right? And then Bill Nye comes out. And so, but then I had to go back into it and I'm just like, no, you know what? As much as Bill Nye made me cry, I still think that the best performance is Austin Butler and his Elvis. I just do. He goes from young Elvis to peak of his powers Elvis to old decrepit Elvis. and he does his
Hey,
own
hey, he
singing.
was 42, so don't say old. Just say decrepit.
But he was decrepit.
Yes.
So,
I
but yeah, but
agree
I
with that,
mean,
but old,
but he
42.
started when he was a teenager, so that's a big swap. But no, I just think that overall, and if you can still think that at the end of a year like this, you're like, well, I'm Austin Butler. That's my pick. If
I
Colin Farrell wins, I won't be surprised.
well, I'll be surprised, but I won't be disappointed.
But yeah, but I won't be disappointed. But I think I don't know how you don't give it to Austin. I just don't.
I'm going to go with a pick 'em. I mean, I think Brendan Fraser is going to win it. That's who I think the audience is going to go with, because there is another backstory to that whole situation
Right.
where, unlike Ki Kwan, who wasn't blacklisted, he was just like, nope, we don't need you,
Yeah.
and couldn't find Asian parts. Brendan Fraser stood up against the harassment and
Right.
was kind of, I don't want to say blacklisted, I'm going to say gray listed.
Sidelined.
Yeah, and which a lot of great female actresses in the 2000s were
Yep.
completely sidetracked thanks to Weinstein. This wasn't a Weinstein situation. This is a different
Right.
situation, but similar in nature, where his career got derailed for a time out of his own choosing.
Yep.
So it's a pick 'em. I thought Austin Butler was an amazing Elvis. So I would like to see him win, but if Brendan Fraser wins, I'll be super happy as well. So I'm going to say pick him between Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I can live with 4 of those picks. I really can. I can live
Mosquito
with
Kid,
any of those.
you won't.
Like I said, I think it would be. I think it would be awesome if Bill Nye won,
Oh.
because if you just you look at Living and you see that performance, and then you think about everything else that he's done, you're like, Jesus, man, is that's if you're gonna Michelle Yeoh body of work or Jamie Lee Curtis body of work or whatever, it's like Bill Nye body of work.
Well, for me, this is a lot like going to the horse race track, and you have to look at what was their last few races and what was
Yeah,
their practices, and the fact that Bill Nighy hasn't shown up in any of the SAG Awards or Golden Globes
I know
as winners,
that's right.
that I don't think he's in it. But Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser have basically been toe to toe this
Yeah.
entire season, and that's why I say I really don't know how it's going to go. It's a pick 'em, but I'm assuming Brendan Fraser is going to win. But again, Austin Butler could easily take it because he was phenomenal, and the fact that like you said, it lasted all year. That's why I think Everything Everywhere at All at Once is going to win, because we've been talking about it since March and it hasn't slowed down.
No, exactly. So let's go the last 2: Best Director or directing.
Yep.
Banshees, Everything Everywhere, Fableman's Tar, Triangle of Sadness. This is a 2-horse race. I don't care if Spielberg's in it. It's a 2-horse race. And that's Banshees and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it just depends, I think, on what camp you fall into.
It's a 3-horse race.
Really?
Because Daniel and Daniel are 2 people.
Well, okay. No, they're riding they're riding double.
Yes, yeah.
But no, so it's Banshees versus Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think Everything Everywhere, I think because of the complexity of the film, I think is the huge difference here. The fact that there were so many. The performances Banshees are great, and that script is great, and to make those, it's very minimalist, but it's just as hard, I think, to direct a minimalist film as it is a huge epic thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Everything Everywhere's had way more balls in the air.
And
they didn't drop. I don't think they dropped any.
No, and they also had way more obstacles.
Yeah,
Martin McDonagh, he's got a cachet. You know what you're going to get. You could just send him off, and he's going to do whatever he's going to do.
Let him run.
You an Oscar-winning picture. Daniel, the Daniels, they got some money. I don't know if the investors 100% knew what was going to come back.
No.
And that's the scariest part. And I think that's the hardest part, is when you have all, when you do have a lot more limitations budget-wise, credibility-wise. The last thing they made was Swiss Army Man, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Oh, love that movie.
And so one of those things where it's like, huh? And
Yeah.
This comes out of the blue. And then their very first movie was about some kind of horse thing that I don't want to talk about. There was to have them be nominated for Best Picture and Best Director now, after seeing quite good. I'm not saying that
Right.
Swiss Army Man wasn't bad. I didn't like it. It's just, it was well made.
I am a fan of rewarding, and it's weird because we talk about body of work too in some of these categories. But I am a big fan of, look, it's the best movie this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's by far the best, whatever performance, direction, film, whatever, if it's the best one this year, you shouldn't. You hate to discourage. I hate that. Well, they'll have more chances. I hate
No,
that argument.
they. I don't think they will have more chances.
No, but any on anyone. So it's like I think you should always try to remember that it's the best X this year.
No, I always get upset when a movie gets all the acclaim and then the best director's missing. It's like, wait a second,
I know, right? It doesn't make any
because
sense.
it's like they're the general manager,
Yeah,
and they put all the parts together, and they're the ones that they run the show. It's not just stick a camera here, do this. They run every department as well,
yep,
and it is a massive managerial job, and have every department credited and not have the CEO
right.
is crazy. And so
Yeah,
I'm glad that's why I am picking them, because they had their fingers in everything, including visual effects, including
and they had to. Yeah,
had to, because it's just because limitations, no budget.
yep. So that takes us to Best Picture, where I think we're going to pick Everything Everywhere All at Once. But we've got All Quiet on the Western Front, which you picked. We both kind of picked for Best International Picture. I don't think we get a Parasite situation again.
No, it's
where
not
it
going to
wins
win.
both.
No.
But you have Avatar,
Not going to
Banshees,
win.
Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Fablemans, no, Tar, good, Top Gun Maverick, popular pick. Triangle of Sadness is an arty farty pick.
Yeah.
And no. And Women Talking, great movie, but in a year like this, it's crazy. So again, you're down to 2-3 movies,
If that.
Well, and Banshee, everything everywhere. So it's like,
yeah, but no, like you said, I think it's Banshees is, and I don't even think it's competitive. It's not like saying it's just these two 50-50.
right.
It's more like 10-90. But that 10 is more than the 1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
Top
same.
Gun Maverick is the most popular pick.
Yeah.
Even though Avatar made a lot more money, I think a lot more people were excited and loved Maverick. If I said, "Hey, you want to go see Avatar? You want to see Maverick?" I think a lot more people are going to jump on the Maverick board.
Oh yeah. So, and here's the thing that I was actually worried about, and I'm still worried about it based on things that I'm reading, is that I didn't want. I was concerned that Hollywood the Academy wasn't quite ready to say Everything Everywhere All at Once is the best picture, because it's out there. But then you look at, do you want Avatar? It's an animated film. Do you want a German war movie? We did that. You'll give them the thing. You get Top Gun. Well, that's a popcorn movie. Yeah. You get Tar. I don't know. Is it a little too on?
Yeah.
Women Talking. It's a little slow. Yeah. You know what? No one can really fault us for? Spielberg.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm deathly afraid of happening, is that enough Academy members will be like, I can't get everything, but I can't, you know what? Spielberg.
Yeah, I don't think that's,
it's like best score. You're like, oh, you know what? John Williams. Check.
But like I said, had I seen him do anything else, this movie do anything else, I'd agree with you, but he's only gotten director. I think that would be where they reward Spielberg over anything on the directing. I don't think they're going to reward the movie itself. I don't think the movie itself is as good as the directing job, which sounds weird.
No, but I think they could give directing to Everything Everywhere. I don't think they could validate. Not that I don't think they could. I said my fear is that they don't think they can say that the best movie this year is such a wackadoodle picture.
It has a butt.
That's my concern. Scene. It has what?
A butt plug fighting scene.
That is also true. It does have the butt plug scene.
I hope that is the one they use for their clip when they say,
yeah, that fight scene, so everyone knows it's coming, even though they won't show it. Yeah, that would be awesome. But again, that's my fear, is that happens, and I hope it doesn't.
I don't think it's. I don't have that fear. I think if anything, it would be something like an Elvis or a Banshees, where they could validate, like, an Elvis is America's #1 entertainer in history.
But if that would be my third. If it's not Everything Everywhere, it would be Banshees. I think that's everyone's next safe pick.
Yeah.
Except that it's a little dark.
Yeah.
Just dark humor.
Oh God, Banshees was super dark.
Yeah.
You got fingers flying.
But then again, everyone can always default. You can default to Spielberg, and it's just like, no, don't. Yeah. Don't wuss out.
I don't think voters. So. I don't have that worry anymore. I mean, I have. If it was closer, I would, but I don't think those two are so close that it's within striking distance. Like,
right.
If a percentage of people thought that way, it wouldn't be enough to even Bake
And
it in.
that's what I'm hoping happens. I'm
Yeah.
hoping people are just going, you know what? It's just that good.
Well, we'll find out
And
in
we
about
have to live it.
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I know, right? So that is our Oscars 2023 prediction / discussion
Haven't
show.
you
I would like to point out, by the way, that I'm wearing a very special T-shirt today for Oscar Day because this film garnered 0 Oscar nominations, deservedly.
Well, that's why
Always be casting. There you go. Craig, thanks for coming on.
of course.
Thanks for talking. Tell everyone out there where they can listen to you and what they can listen to you do.
We're on Matinee Heroes, where my co-host and I, Alan Cerny, we talk about movies we actually like and throughout history that have good heroes in them. So we talk about movies we actually like, which is unusual for the internet.
Where can they find you?
Matinee Heroes everywhere. MatineeHeroes.com, Matinee Heroes on Twitter, Matinee Heroes everywhere.
And your side hustle.
Side hustle is we're not going to talk about that yet because I don't know if it's coming back. So
no, I'll be sad.
I have some. It may, if it's going to happen, it'll be happening in the fall because there's some things happening in the spring that are on wait, and I don't want to start it just to stop it.
No, that seems fair. So yeah, check out Matinee Heroes. Just Matinee Heroes. You'll find them.
MatineeHeroes.com.
If you see a picture of a manatee, that's not a mistake. That's a bold, creative choice.
That is a going with it. Everyone was making fun of us about, oh, what is it, Manatee Heroes? And we're like, hey, Manatee Hero, he's our mascot.
He's our matinee. Yes, he is. He's awesome, and he's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming to the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. You can find us on most social media at VS Movie Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, obviously it's Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. Click subscribe. That would be great. Craig, thanks for coming on. I'm going to be talking to you next week about a movie that I'm not going to spoil.
Yeah, no, you can go ahead. We're talking where it's the entire month of April is getting the band back together month, and so to celebrate the new D&D movie, the first week in April, we're going to be talking about Dragon Slayer. So we'll be recording that one, hopefully, unless something happens in the next week that things happen and we don't make it to after the Oscars.
Right.
Someone might slap the crap out of me, and I don't want to do it again.
That is also true. That would be sad. So there you go.
I think that was a possibility until last year.
Right. And on that note, that's it, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again soon. Stay safe. Go see a good movie or watch the Oscars tonight. See some good ones and some okay ones. So there you go. Take it easy, everyone. We'll talk to you all later. Bye, Craig.